Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and completely demystify the recent USCIS rule change for I-485 applications. We are going to focus specifically on exactly what you need to prepare. Look, if you have a pending green card application right now, or even if you're just planning to file one soon, the entire landscape has fundamentally shifted. So we're going to analyze this with the absolute seriousness it demands and break down the exact evidence you now need to secure your future in the United States.
Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the new policy and visa risk. Number 2, the 14-document checklist. And number 3, 4 action steps.
Section 1. The new policy and visa risk.
Right, so the crucial point of all this really boils down to this specific phrase, extraordinary circumstances. Now, historically, USCIS has always had the technical, legal power to deny an I-485 application even if you met every single requirement. But in practice, well, if you were eligible and you had no glaring red flags, you were basically approved. This new memo absolutely changes that. Officers are now explicitly instructed to actively use their discretionary power. They want to see positive factors that affirmatively justify granting your application. So you essentially have to prove why you deserve it, well beyond just checking off the basic eligibility boxes. To put that into perspective, this represents a massive shift from what was essentially an automatic approval process for eligible applicants to a new reality of heightened, discretionary scrutiny. You simply can no longer rely on a clean record alone. You have to actively build an affirmative case for yourself. It is a completely new era of strict evaluation. Notice the stark divide in how immigration law treats different statuses now. We have a safe tier protecting dual-intent visa holders like H-1B, H-4, L-1, or L-2 because immigration law expressly permits you to pursue a green card while maintaining that non-immigrant status. But if you are on an F, J, or TN visa, which are single-intent visas, you are in the at-risk tier and facing significantly greater scrutiny under this new memo. If you fall into that at-risk tier, it's highly recommended that you immediately explore whether your employer can sponsor you for an H-1B or L-1 status instead. Now, there is a bit of a silver lining for some of you. If you're applying under the National Interest Waiver or EB-1A categories, early signals suggest you actually might be less impacted by this shift, because those categories inherently rely on your service to the national interest or your established economic benefit to the U.S. That existing documentation might act as a sort of shield. However, we are still waiting on official guidance on that, so cautious, thorough preparation remains absolutely key.
Section 2. The 14-document checklist.
So, to prove those extraordinary circumstances we were just talking about, immigration attorneys are now strongly recommending that you treat your application like an actual trial. We're going to build your case file, starting with Document 1, Family Ties. What you need to gather here are birth certificates, U.S. passports, and photos of your spouse, children, parents, or siblings who are already in the U.S. Why does USCIS care? Well, it demonstrates exactly how deeply rooted your family is in the country. The strongest version of this is providing extensive, irrefutable documentation that securely links you to immediate family members established stateside.
Beyond your family, USCIS wants to see your physical footprint. That brings us to Document 2, Housing History. You need to gather your leases and mortgages for literally every place you've lived in the U.S. since the day you first arrived. USCIS looks at this because it serves as hard, tangible evidence of your long-term residency and your physical commitment to being a part of the community. A truly strong submission here is a complete, unbroken timeline of your U.S. addresses. 0 gaps.
The third piece of this puzzle is hardship documentation. This means providing evidence of exactly what would happen to your family if your application were denied. This is crucial because it illustrates the real, human cost of a denial to the adjudicating officer. The absolute strongest version of this evidence includes objective third-party documents. Think along the lines of official doctor's diagnoses of serious illnesses for family members in the U.S. who actively rely on your physical presence.
Next up, and this brilliantly illustrates your positive contributions. Document 4, your education records. You need your diplomas and transcripts, plus your current transcript if you happen to be actively enrolled in a program right now. USCIS evaluates this to see your direct academic and professional investment in the United States. The most robust version of this is pulling comprehensive, official transcripts for every single undergraduate and graduate degree you've ever pursued. For your fifth requirement, English proficiency, providing formal language test scores acts as another incredibly solid pillar of your integration into society. Now, obviously, if this is applicable to your background, USCIS views language proficiency as a key metric of your ability to fully assimilate and contribute. A strong submission is going to include official, valid results from recognized exams like the TOEFL or the IELTS.
For those of you who have served, Document 6 is an incredibly powerful tool. You need your U.S. military service record. Why? Because under this new discretionary scrutiny framework, military service is heavily weighted as a massive positive factor. To make this as strong as possible, ensure you are providing official, completely finalized discharge or active duty service papers.
All right, let's look at your seventh requirement, your full employment history. And notice I said full. You are going to need W-2 forms for all your U.S. employment, as well as employment verification letters for any international jobs. You see, USCIS wants the entire big picture of your career to evaluate your consistent work ethic and economic value over time, not just what you're doing right this second. The strong version means digging up and gathering every single U.S. W-2 you possess, right alongside those international verification letters. Building directly on that, Document 8 focuses tightly on current employment verification. You need a letter confirming your exact job title and your salary. This is what validates your ongoing present-day economic contribution to the country. Now, please listen closely here. Do not use a 6-month-old letter for this. The strong version of this document must be recently dated, explicitly printed on official company letterhead, and physically signed by an authorized representative. Moving right along to your ninth category, business and real estate ownership. It might surprise you, but USCIS actually often views a mortgage as one of the strongest possible indicators of your intent to stay long-term. So gather those property deeds and any business ownership documents you have. These fundamentally matter because they act as undeniable, concrete proof of your long-term financial and economic investment in the United States. Providing the complete legal documentation of these U.S. assets will present the strongest possible case. Let's shift gears to bank statements, Document 10, and see how this builds out your case. You need monthly statements for all of your accounts. USCIS genuinely cares about this because it clearly establishes your day-to-day financial stability and your continuous presence in the country. To make this piece of evidence totally bulletproof, you ideally want to provide records going all the way back to when those accounts were first opened.
Outside of your finances, the 11th requirement looks at your community and religious involvement. You'll want to gather letters or records showing your active participation. Remember, in a discretionary review, your civic ties carry immense weight because they clearly show you are an active, positively contributing member of society. The absolute strongest version here is direct, official proof, like signed letters from directors of your nonprofit or volunteer work.
Now, the 12th piece of evidence is absolutely critical, your federal tax transcripts. You need the official transcripts downloaded directly from irs.gov. Filing taxes isn't just a basic requirement. Analytically, it proves your consistent, active compliance with U.S. law and underscores your ongoing economic contribution. The strong version here? Providing transcripts for every single available year you have resided in the country.
Requirement 13 is one you cannot afford to mess up: criminal record rehabilitation. If you have any criminal history whatsoever, you must provide documents demonstrating rehabilitation. USCIS cares deeply about this because leaving it unaddressed is a massive red flag that will almost certainly trigger a denial under this new discretionary scrutiny. The strongest, and frankly only, action you should take is providing concrete proof of program completion, letters of support, and official records of compliance. Do not ignore this step. Finally, Document 14. This is essentially the catch-all for any other relevant documents. Look, every single case is distinctly unique. USCIS allows for this category specifically to account for your unique, exceptional ties to the U.S. that just might not neatly fit into those other 13 buckets. So append any valid direct evidence of your positive impact on the United States that we haven't already explicitly covered.
Section 3. 4 Action Steps.
All right, so with your evidence checklist meticulously structured, here is your immediate game plan for this week. Step 1. Format strictly. And I mean strictly. Print everything single-sided on letter-size paper with 0 staples, no paper clips, and no sticky notes. Step 2. Maintain your underlying visa status at all costs. If your I-485 happens to be denied and your status has lapsed, you are facing removal proceedings, so keep it clean. Step 3. Do not panic and rush your filing.
Filing before your I-140 is fully approved is still highly unadvisable. And finally, step 4. Discuss immigrant visa processing, or IVP, with your attorney as a strategic fallback plan. Why? Because for most of that specific process, you can remain safely in the U.S. as long as your underlying visa status is valid.
Make no mistake, legal challenges to this memo are absolutely coming. Many immigration attorneys already believe this policy is on shaky legal ground, which means the landscape may very well shift again, but you cannot bank on that. The immediate reality for you today remains strict discretionary scrutiny. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to act upon right now. Look at your life. Look at your contributions to this country. What evidence will you assemble to affirmatively prove your extraordinary circumstances? Start gathering it today.